Hi, this is Jenny from InfiniteLoopKnitting.com, here to show you how to knit perfectly jogless stripes when knitting in the round. Here we have a sample of stripes knitted in the round, and for the most part it looks pretty good. Our stripes are all the same size and the edges are nice and even, right up until you come to here, and then you notice we have a jog moving from the white stripe to the blue stripe. The usual explanation for this is that you're actually knitting spirals instead of rounds. And so as you move from one level of the spiral to the next, you'll naturally create a jog when you change colors. I just don't buy this. I don't think that's what's going on. You can see that every column in this stripe has exactly 5 stitches. So in what way is that a spiral? And in fact, if I tug on the ends of the tails, you can see I can actually get that so-called spiral to disappear. And it actually looks pretty good right now. And all I did was tug on the tails. Now, in addition to that jog that we had, and I can recreate that just by loosening up the stitches a little bit, we also have a hole in here. And believe it or not, the cause of the jog is how we're managing our tails when we switch colors. So this technique is designed for when you cut the tails between colors, and it gives really good results. So let's see what's causing this hole. What's causing this jog? The first problem we have is that hole, and that is simply caused by dropping the old yarn after you knit the last stitch. So you can see here the blue, if we stretch that all the way across to the first stitch, our hole disappears. And if I just drop it, I've got a hole in there. The second problem I have is with the actual jog. And if I knit the first stitch, you can see what's happening. I'm actually joining the last stitch of the blue to the first stitch of the white. And that's a jog. And as I said before, the solution to this lies with your management of the tails. So let's turn our work over and take a look at our hole and our jog here and see what we can do about it. All right. Here are our 2 tails. And I'm going to take the tail from the new color and just put it to the side for now. We'll come right back to that. And let's take a look at the hole. So this is one of the 2 landmarks we'll be using to address our problems. And you'll notice on either side of the hole we have some purl bumps. We've got the purl bump that the tail is actually emerging from, and then we have the purl bump on the other side. And if we look at the tail, we can see that it actually starts above the purl bump, goes through the purl bump, and there it stops. So what we're going to do is thread up the tail. And then because this tail came down out of this purl bump, we'll take the tail and put it up through the purl bump on the opposite side of the gap. And just like that, we've gotten rid of the hole. Now, as long as we're here, we should finish up our finishing. And we're going to work duplicate stitch for approximately 3 stitches. And this is the stitch that we're duplicating right here. You can see that it also goes into the purl bump that we inserted our tapestry needle into. So this is the yarn we're going to follow. The reason why it's called duplicate stitch is you're duplicating the stitches in your knitting. So we're going to use this yarn as a guide and just follow it wherever it meanders. You can see this yarn goes over the blue tail. So we're going to take our yarn across and over the blue tail, and I'll just move the tail off to the side. And then we can see that our guide yarn goes down into this blue bump here. So we'll insert our needle through the blue bump. And then we'll continue to follow the yarn. And at this point, I usually get confused and I start following the other side. But I'm going to be very careful and follow my guide yarn. And my guide yarn says go through the purl bump again. So I'm going to do that. And then my guide yarn goes over here. So I'll go over here and up into this purl bump and then through the blue bump. And then across and down some more. Again, I'm just following that yarn that's underneath. And then across and up. Oops. And that always happens to me. Because I am the klutziest knitter alive. Okay, and then we're going to go across to the left, down again, through the purl bump. And you can see what we're doing is we're just going, meandering up and down across the blue line. And then following the yarn and up. And I like to do this for about 3 stitches. I actually enjoy working duplicate stitch so much that sometimes I have a hard time stopping after 3 stitches, but 3 is really all you need. You can just go ahead and trim the end close to your work. And that's one side worked. And now we just need to figure out what to do with the blue yarn. And the blue yarn is actually going to help us deal with the jog. So we'll thread up the blue tail, and this is, I'm calling this the blue tail, but it's really the new tail. Okay, so we'll take our new tail, and this time what we want to do is even out the dotted line. You can see right now I've got a gap between this side of the blue and that side of the blue. And you can also call it the white line too. The white line, they're not matching up. That's your jog. So I'm just going to give it a little push. Tighten up a little bit. Maybe check the other side. Yeah, that's already looking really good. And now I just need to figure out how to work this in. And you shouldn't just work it in. You should really, really do a good job of your duplicate stitch. So what we want to do is find the blue line, okay? Because we want this blue line to line up with this blue line. And so this will be the point where we insert the needle. And now our blue line is connected. That then suggests a yarn to follow for duplicate stitch. So we're going to follow this yarn. And we'll do duplicate stitch for about 3 stitches. And then at this point, we just want to check on the other side to make sure we're happy with things. Make any minor adjustments that you may need to make. And then go ahead and trim off the tail. With the world's dullest scissors. And there's our stripe, and it looks great. Like, comment, and subscribe to keep these videos coming.